So far, those on both sides of the aisle disappointed in how the president has failed to address immigration reform in his first term. So, will President Obama's second be any different? Joining me now, Congressman Bob Goodlatte, chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, which oversees immigration reform. Okay, Congressman, we have a list of things that apparently the president wants to push for. One, requiring businesses to verify new employees in the country legally. Two, create a guest worker program for low-wage immigrants. And three, make immigrants seeking legal status pay fines and back taxes. Can you support any of that?
Oh, all of that is well worth looking at very carefully. And that's exactly what we'll do. Republicans in the House are very enthused about doing immigration reform this year as well. And how much we can do will depend upon how much we can find in common with our friends over in the Senate and with the White House and our colleagues here in the House.
Congressman, what I asked you was, can you support those three specific ideas?
Those three specific ideas are all things that if they're done correctly, we could find a way to support some of them. Obviously, the one that is the most difficult is someone who's illegally in the United States today. We've got to find some way to do this. And if we're talking about bringing them out of the shadows and having a legal status, I think there's a lot to discuss there. If we're talking about a pathway to citizenship, I think the American people are going to want to know a lot more about how we're going to prevent this type of illegal immigration in the future.
Well, I think that's a great point, because I think the crux of the problem for so many of us, what if you are, or you know someone who is one of these people who came to this country, came in the front door, did it the right way, took the time, went to the expense and the effort of getting citizenship, and now, there are 11 million immigrants in this country who could go right around the whole system and get citizenship, possibly in a snap. Can you support that?
Well, no, and quite frankly, we're a nation of immigrants. There isn't anybody around who can't go back a few generations or several generations and find someone in their family who came to the United States to better their lives for themselves and their family. But we're also a nation of laws. And when we did immigration reform in 1986, we didn't do it completely, we didn't do it correctly, and this time we're going to take the time to get it right. First of all, by starting out and educating members of Congress about this very complex issue. There are lots of moving parts with immigration, and what we don't want is to have next week or next month a 2,000-page bill that attempts to address all of this with members of Congress who don't know the issue. So we're going to begin the process next week of educating members of the House about how this issue works, both for legal immigration and illegal immigration, and then we'll send them home. They can talk to their constituents about it, and then we want to bring them back and listen to them about what they think they can do.
You're very educated on this topic. Tell me, what would be the key ingredients of immigration reform from your point of view?
Well, I think the two things that we talk about, if you're talking about doing individual pieces of immigration, there are lots of different things you can do. The STEM visa bill that we just passed at the end of the last Congress, we'll certainly be interested in addressing that again. Agricultural immigration reform, E-Verify, which is one of the things that was on the president's list, to have employers able to easily verify whether or not somebody is lawfully allowed to take the job that they're considering offering them. Border security and enforcement of the immigration laws inside the United States. The two tough ones, in my opinion, are what you do with the 10, 11 million people who are in the United States today. Obviously, we're not going to have a trail of tears headed back to the border of millions of people leaving, but I also do not think the American people have any stomach for saying, okay, you're here now, we'll put you on a path to citizenship. That's what was done in 1986, and all it did was lead to ever accelerating illegal immigration into the United States, and not just across the border. About 40% of the people who are illegally in the country entered legally on student visas, visitors visas, business visas. But they never renew them. And that's right, they overstayed their visas.
I got to ask you this question before you go. The way this is being handled by the White
Go ahead. The other point,
Congressman.
Yeah, the other point was what do you do to assure the American people that if we go ahead with a significant immigration reform bill, what assurance do they have that things will be different and that future presidents will enforce the law like recent presidents of both parties have not?
All right, Congressman, thanks for coming on the show tonight. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
For more on this, I want to bring in Chris Kobach.